Welcome. My name is Yashika Foster, affectionately known as the Artist of Dating. So today's video is going to be a little different, right? For those of you who don't know, I have another podcast or site with, a friend of mine where we have a different YouTube channel as well as some other things. Well, today we did a live stream that I wanted to show you guys the question that was asked and then my response to the questions. And this will probably be a 3-part video. I'm not really sure, but there were 3 questions that was asked of me, and out of respect for my co-host on my other podcast, I didn't want to take all of the content and put it as one video. And so what I wanted to do was, he asked me a question and I gave some very intensive questions. And so I may do 1, I may do 3, I'm not sure, but I just want you guys to really get into this video and hear my response to the questions. I hope you enjoy the video.
Yashika, this was one of the things that was posed to me. I said, I'm going to ask Yashika first. I believe, and I'm not going to mention the name,
of course,
but we in the news is in terms of alimony. Now, we know for years that men of means, and even men of no means, very few means, have historically paid alimony. She wants to know, what are your thoughts on a man asking for alimony if the woman is making considerably more money than he is? I knew it was going to start with a laugh.
And it's not that it's a funny question, because it's not. It's one of those questions that I know that, what I always tell people, and this is my little fine print at the bottom, my caveat, is that if you want to know listen, I had a birthday since I've been gone. I'm 49 now, so I'm really close to 50. Okay?
Yes, everybody get in there and welcome her. Happy birthday, yes.
And what I learned about that is the older you get, you really don't sugarcoat things anymore. And it's just like, you know what? I don't even know how to change. I'm not going to change. So what you see is what you get. So when you ask me a question like that, if it was somebody that was coming to me and they asked me, I would explain to them, first, let's talk about what alimony means, right? Alimony meant that you provided them with a life that they are now accustomed to. So whether it's the man that provided that life to that woman, or that woman that provided that life to that man, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, whatever, you provided them with a life that they were not accustomed to. So now that they are accustomed to it, they have to maintain it until they can get themselves back to a certain level, or at least have the ability to try to get there, right? And so, especially when you're talking about kids, if kids are involved, let's use, somebody famous, like, Kelly Clarkson, and I know we don't like to talk about it. I'm just telling you what is in the media. Although he came from her ex-husband came from a pretty, rich family, he wasn't necessarily as rich as his mother or his wife, Kelly Clarkson, but yet they had kids together. So the way the court sees it is, if daddy is making barely 6 figures a year, or even, it takes him 3 years to make, 7 figures, whereas that Kelly Clarkson makes, $30 million, $50 million a year. It's like Monday through Friday. If your mother is your primary, breadwinner, or the person that supports you as a child, it's like you live in, in a condo or a mansion, and then you go into the hood on the weekends. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't work out. And then not only that, but when you're talking about the kids, it puts them in an unsafe environment, because now, come on now, if the father got to move to a neighborhood that's not like the mothers, and I'm not saying, and this is on the far end, you know what I mean? They want them in certain schools. They want them to have certain friends. They want them to be able to enjoy certain amenities, which means that if I live, downtown, because that's all I can afford, and I'm divorced from somebody that's famous and rich, and you live way out there, when they have weekend things, for their friends. And although it's my weekend to keep the kids or my week to keep the kids, now I got to travel an hour or 2 hours to get to their friends, because where I live at, can't afford to live in the boonies with you, where you got one neighbor per 5 miles. You know what I mean? My neighbor's right next door to me, so you have to take all those things in consideration. And so that's why it's important sometimes to really, really marry someone that's equally yoked. And now, if that person was with you before you got all those things, you may not feel that they necessarily contribute to you getting there. Because if I came out with, let's just say, right now I'm building a brand, what I'm building, and I'm not making in my business, I'm not making a certain number figure per year in my business yet. But if I get with a partner, then all of a sudden I start, things start picking up. I would never say that he didn't have any influence on that, because maybe I was getting some good sex now, so I was able to think clear. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So in other words, he may have played a back role, but he played a role in me going from where I'm at now to going up level. So they all, it's almost like that thing where my ex told me that he never noticed that now, when we divorced, now he got to go out and buy toilet paper. You know what I mean? So it's like those things that you don't think about that now you have to think about because it was somebody else thinking about it. So when you are making a certain amount of money and you wasn't making that prior to that person, and with that person you started to make more, don't believe that you did it by yourself, because you didn't. That person had an influence. Now, do I think that the amounts are fair? Apparently, some judge sees that the money is doable from that person. Number one. Number two, if I'm the person, let's just use you and I, for example, if I'm the wealthy person and you're not, I should be able to afford the best lawyers. And if my lawyers are not being good against your lawyers, then apparently either I didn't have a solid case, or, it just is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know I got a better lawyer than you because I got the money. But if the lawyers still see that I need to pay you, then that's just the way it is. Like that's written in stone. Because listen, if OJ lawyers can, you know what I'm saying? That means either pick better lawyers or it's written in stone. That's just the way it is. It's proven that the judge saw that no matter what, you deserve to pay this person this money. And I know sometimes we look at, and I think what it is that, and I know I'm long-winded on this, but I think this deserves like a really good, really in-depth answer to this from my perspective. But I think another reason why we don't see it the same when it's reversed is because we see men as men, right? You're the breadwinner, regardless if we work or not. Typically, the men are the breadwinners. They're the ones that, make sure everything is done, because that's what traditionally it was, right? So you see this idea of the way it's supposed to be, but that's more of our antiquated thinking that we need to get away from. And this is one of the reasons why it's messing us up in today's society, because we want some of those old school things, but we only want it when it applies to us. In other words, the old school tells us that the man is the breadwinner until it's time for us to pay him. You understand what I'm saying?
There you go.
So it's just like, okay, what are we doing? It's almost like some people take the Bible to use the part that fits them, but then they don't want to read the whole story. If you're going to go back to when your grandparents were young and take advice from them, then let's do everything what they said. Don't pick and choose what benefits you. So get this impression out of your mind that this man, why would he come to this woman for this money? Because apparently he deserved it, because the judge saw fit and the lawyer you had couldn't fight your case. And it is what it is. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is sometimes, And I mean, we've been winning for a long time, So I mean, the ones who get hit here and there, I don't have no sympathy for them, because them people are still rich. Even after they pay all this alimony, they are still rich. So they still out of my league. So I don't have a dog in the fight. You know what I mean? And if we're talking about somebody that makes, that's not rich, your Kelly Clarksons and Mary J's and Adele's, if you're a regular American, making six figures and the low six figures, I ain't talking about the 999 six figures. I'm talking about the ones and twos six figures. Then I mean, if you've made that much money, which means you've exceeded the normal. Trust me, you can find it to make the money you need to make. So that money that you're spending that partner, it's not gonna, it ain't gonna even matter. And that's a big thing in the military. Everybody that follows me know I'm retired military, and that was a big thing where, when the soldiers retired, or when they got to retirement age, if they was with their spouses for 10 plus years, then they were entitled to a certain amount of their retirement check. And the soldiers feel like, why should they get half of my retirement, right? They don't get half of the disability, just half of the retirement. And there are people, of course, who don't agree with that. There are people who, have waited until the soldier did retire to divorce them. Like, I know, I've witnessed it, you know what I mean? So they could get their half, And when you think about it, they put in the work. They've had to do a lot of sacrifices. They was playing both roles as mom and dad when that person was deployed, or out in school, or playing G.I. Joe or G.I. Jane. And you guys know we work 15 hours a day, anywhere from 12 to 15 hours a day, if not more. So if you got kids and things like that, I'm the one that's taking them to the doctor and checking up for nosebleeds and, making parent teacher conferences and things like that. And so you didn't agree to that. You agreed to being married to a soldier, but maybe you didn't agree to be a single parent in a marriage. And that's where the difference come in at. And then when the guy come home, whether guy, girl, they come home, they feel like, well, I've worked all day, I shouldn't have to do anything. And so then that person that's at home is still doing things, cooking, cleaning, and stuff like that. And so when it's time for them to retire, those spouses want their half, and guess what? The government gets to them, because not only that, but they weren't really able to secure employment long-term anywhere. Because if we're moving every 3 to 4 years or 2 to 4 years, if you're a spouse and you're trying to get a job where you're maintaining, like you want to get seniority in a position, it's hard for you to do that when you're moving every 3 to 4 years. So you never really get your groove, unless you got a job that's transferable, but not everybody gets lucky like that, So yeah, I said a lot to say that there's going to be some people that disagree with me, but that's my opinion. You on mute.
They're going to go watch the replay later. The other one. We see this trend, and it's not that it hasn't happened, and I'm sure there are some great stories out there concerning that. But now, I believe there's going to be a reality show concerning this as well. However, what are your thoughts on a woman asking a man's hand in marriage?
Okay, I need to know exactly what are you asking me? Are you asking me my opinion from Yashika?
That's what they requested that you say. The full unadulterated. They said, listen, there's one thing I know about her. She's going to give it to you, Rhea. I says, okay.
Okay, because no judgment. No judgment. I want to make sure everybody knows that no judgment, because at the end of the day, a person has to do what is best for their life, no matter what. And when we give advice, you and I, or any other dating coach, that's what it is. We're speaking from our education, our experiences, and what I call our gut hood instinct. Okay, those are the three things I live those like my trinity, what I live my life by, right? And for me, there's just no way I would propose to a man, and here's why. We put them in positions where, I hope I don't go to Facebook jail again, but we put them in positions again where it looks like we are being these alpha females and they are being bitchs. That's just my opinion. And it takes away from their definition of man and what a man should do. I believe that a man come to this earth with two things: his male part and his pride. That's it. And the only two things he got: his male part and his pride. Everything else, He don't care about. But them two right there, he's going to protect it to the end. And if you are a woman that's with this man, you are never supposed to do anything that's going to take away from any one of those things, which means that don't insult him. Let him know he's the best thing you ever had. Number one. And number two, you don't mess with his pride. And when you ask a man in his hand in marriage, to me, it affects the pride of the man. That's the short answer.
Okay. Well, you step up.
If it's taking too long, then I mean, either he thinking about some things or
he thinking about some things.
That this may not be what he want right now. Let him be sure. It shouldn't have. I mean, we want it to happen on our time, but too many marriages are ending in divorce. So maybe he need a little while longer to think about this. Maybe he still got some things he want to do, but it doesn't work. I know we feel like we walking against a biological clock sometimes, especially depending on where we are in life. But when you and it just goes to show you that the different approaches, like for that part of the question, that was asked about women proposing to men, you literally took the traditional standpoint from because of what you saw you as a child, and I really appreciate that. Like, that is what our audience needs to see, that because you have that foundation. For me, my foundation from the hood. Okay, so we took two different viewpoints of it. Although I've been brushed all off and polished up and given some fancy degrees, my foundation is still from where I seen toxic relationships, toxic marriages, like all kind of stuff. So you seen a more beautiful, family impression. I didn't. I came from my mother was married to my father before I was born, but he was never in the household. So I don't know what it's like to have two parents in the household. You understand what I'm saying? Whereas that you do. So the answer I gave on both of those questions were from my instinctual, my hood instinct. So, and we still say the same thing. So if you're going to take something from us, think about, for the audience out there, think about how you and I took two different approaches, but our answers were still the same, but it was based on our experiences. Your experience says, well, because of tradition, a woman should never ask a man to marry him. That was your approach, which some people will look at it that way, right? And then some people will totally disagree. Well, we ain't in tradition no more, okay? But then you got your Sheikah's perspective. Hers ain't from a traditional. Hers is from in the streets, in the hood, but yet from the streets of Detroit, okay? But yet at the same, came from a teenage mother, a hustler for a father, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? I did everything as a kid. You name it, I did it. I know how to cut it up and sell it, okay? Hopefully I won't be in Facebook jail again. So at the end of the day, but I've been given these degrees. I've been put in the military. I've restructured my life, but my foundation is still what I saw, and I want to do different. I want to do better, but I still feel that there are certain things that shouldn't just be. And a woman asking a man for his hand in marriage is not one of them, and that's not the Christian answer. That is the hood answer. Hell no, because that's not what we're doing. Right? We're not doing that, period. We're not doing that. And what I don't understand, and maybe I'm wrong, and I hope somebody can show this to me, but it seems that when I see the memes or when I see the pictures being discussed, maybe I'm wrong, but I see more of a certain demographic of women that are doing this, proposing than it is other women. And I'm trying to figure out, is it that the other women are not just getting put on tape and nobody's taking a picture of it? Is it that, we all video recording it because it's a special moment, so we put it all on video where everybody else doing their stuff in secrecy, so if they get rejected, nobody knows? But I'm just trying to figure out, why is it seem to be us that's doing it more so than anybody? As if we're running desperate. And if we're running desperate, then we need to change the way we do things. And listen, this is the way, the world is set up this way. If you look at different cultures, right? If you look at different cultures, the one who's like, for example, your Asians, you got your white Americans, you got your European Americans, you got your blacks in Africa. Like, you got all these people, right? From different places, right? You take the blacks here in America, you take the blacks in Africa. You take the Europeans that's here or the ones that's in Europe, right? they still doing things different than the way we doing things. Like we still, like the people in Africa ain't doing that. Them women ain't getting on their hands and knees and marrying them men. So what we doing? So if we gonna take cue from somebody, the Americans, the white Americans in Europe ain't doing that. The white Americans in the States ain't doing that. The Asians that live in Asia ain't doing it, and the ones that came to America ain't doing it. So why are we the only ones that's doing different than our real people? Our real people that's still in Africa. Why we want to do something different? And you let me know if I need to come down off this doggone high right now. Because I'm like, why are we doing something different? Like, if we're going to take cue from the motherland, let's take cue from the motherland. These women are doing what they need to do to get these husbands. And I know they got as many men as we got. They got refugees over there. They got men that's doggone walking around with no shoes on and stuff. They out there getting it. But them women got husbands. Sometimes they share them. I don't care what they do. I don't care how they do it. But you ain't never heard them be on Facebook talking about they about to get on their hand and knee and marry nobody. You ain't never saw them doggone talking about, I'm going to have 50 million kids and I ain't got no husband because you ain't seen them women do that. Like over there. They not doing that. They not doing that. So why are we doing something different than them? That's the part I don't understand. And then now we want to reverse it. Well, I'm just gonna ask him to marry me because he's taking too long. No. Do it the way you were taught to do it. And if you're unsure, go to Africa because that's our people. Just like Europe, white Americans got Europeans, the Asians that's here got all their countries in Asia. If we're not sure how to do it, then let's go to our foundation is what I'm saying. Our foundations, because when we've been split up and done things and moved around and stolen and borrowed, we didn't know who we were. We got lost taking so many on different people's cultures. We don't know who we are. So if we unsure about who we are in the way it's done, and we need to find ourselves, then go back to where we started. Don't recreate some stuff. Don't make some shit up as we go along. Okay, I'm going to step down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the artist of dating is Sheikah Foster, in her opinion. I tell you, now I know why she wanted me to ask you this question, because
all right, let me know in the comments how you enjoyed the video. What did you think about my response? I hope that I at least gave you guys 2 of the questions, if not all 3. I hope I wasn't being cheap. But let me know down below what you thought about the questions, what's your opinions, and if you have any comments, make sure to put them down below, or any questions for me, you can go ahead and let me know, or send me an email. And my information where you can send an email will be in the description below of this video. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye. Oh.